I was sitting in the sun-drenched kitchen of a classic estate in Willowdale, where my sister-in-law Bianca Reed was hosting the family's monthly brunch. The weather was stunningly beautiful, and the dining table was elegantly set with ivory linens and crystal glasses that sparkled in the morning light. Everything seemed perfect. If I wasn't sitting there staring at the cup of coffee in front of me, debating whether to take a sip, I made that. Harper, my husband Nathan Reed, said with a smile as he set the cup in front of me. His voice sounded casual, but the look in his eyes sent a chill down my spine. Tried a new recipe just for you. The aroma hit me instantly. Something was off. Not just strange, but acrid, warm, almost metallic. Nothing like any coffee I'd ever known. A cold shiver ran down my spine. Bianca, sitting across from me, sipped her espresso without taking her eyes off me. Her expression was unnervingly calm, as if she were waiting for something, or confirming that something was about to happen. I forced a smile. Nathan. You know, I only drink iced coffee. I said lightly, though my hand trembled slightly as I lifted the cup. Breaking the habit today? He shrugged. Thought we'd mix it up. You should try it. Bianca and I did. It's great. Is that so? I glanced over at Bianca, searching for any sign beyond that stiff smile. She gave a slight nod, set her cup down, and didn't take another sip. I was all too familiar with her brand of polite deception. In the 3 years of my marriage, I'd ended up in the hospital 3 times after meals at Bianca's house. Odd allergic reactions, food poisoning, or unexplained abdominal pain. None of them ever had a clear cause. Nathan always had an explanation. Unusual ingredients, a sensitive system, changes in the weather. Bianca would always act concerned, ask questions, send flowers to the hospital, but never once visited. I didn't believe in coincidences anymore, especially not after I nearly missed a major meeting because of the detox tea she gave me. What were you and Bianca doing so late at her place last night? I asked casually, still staring at the cup. Nathan blinked, caught off guard. Huh? We were talking about your anniversary gift. Wanted to plan a surprise. A real surprise, huh? I murmured, nudging the cup aside and pretending to search my purse for my phone. I scanned the table, 3 cups of coffee, 1 for me, 1 for Nathan, 1 for Bianca. Mine was the only one untouched, and I was certain they both knew that. Bianca propped her chin on her hand, offering a faint smile. Harper, you're worrying me. You look tired. Is something wrong? Maybe just haven't had my coffee yet, I replied, glancing at the gleaming tile floor. I lifted the cup, brought it to my lips, but didn't drink, keeping my eyes fixed on the two of them. They exchanged a brief glance, not long but long enough to tighten the knot of dread in my chest. Something was happening, and if I wasn't careful, that cup might be the reason I stood holding my phone like I just received an urgent message. Sorry, looks like my assistant just texted Bianca. Mind if I use the study for a minute? Be my guest, she said, eyes tracking me like a hawk. I walked past the table, heading for the hallway that led to the study. As I passed Bianca's chair, I deliberately stumbled. Oh, sorry, I exclaimed, jostling the table slightly. While pretending to fix the tablecloth and rearrange a glass, I quickly swapped my cup with hers. No one would notice unless they were really paying attention. Bianca looked at me, her brow twitching slightly, but said nothing. I stepped into the study, heart-pounding hands trembling from the adrenaline. I left the door ajar just enough to watch the table. From a distance, Nathan was on his phone. Bianca picked up the cup, the one that had originally been mine, and brought it to her lips. I held my breath, 1 sip, then another. 10 seconds passed, nothing happened. I started to doubt myself. Maybe I had overreacted. Then Bianca placed her hand on the table, her face paling, her other hand gripped the chair. Nathan looked up just as her face turned ghostly white. He jumped up. Bianca, your throat. It's burning. She gasped, her hand trembling. Nathan, something's wrong in there. I stepped out of the study, my phone still recording since I walked in. Feeling unwell. Bianca, I asked calmly, eyes locked on Nathan. Harper, Bianca choked, her panicked eyes darting between me and Nathan. You said it would just make her tired, not. I cut him off, stepping closer, just make her tired. What did you tell her, Nathan? He froze, face drained of color. No, that wasn't supposed to be her cup. The kitchen fell silent. I pulled my phone from my jacket and held it up. I recorded everything, including what she just said about your promise. Bianca clutched her stomach, gasping. Call an ambulance. Nathan fumbled for his phone. I'm calling, I didn't know she'd drink the wrong one. I stepped back and dialed 911. I need an ambulance at 58 Westbrook Avenue. Someone is having a severe reaction after drinking coffee. She's shaking, nauseous, and her hands are convulsing. I gave the address, eyes never leaving the two of them. Bianca collapsed to the floor. Nathan dropped beside her, his face ashen. Harper, you switched the cups, Bianca whispered. You knew. I crouched down, keeping a safe distance, eyes locked on hers. After 3 hospital trips in 6 months, you think I wouldn't suspect something? My birthday breakfast, those eggs tasted strange. The tea before my big presentation, and now the coffee. The door burst open, medics rushing in. I stepped back to let them through. Nathan, did you and your sister plan this over that contract? I landed, I asked, not expecting an answer. He stayed silent, sweat beading on his forehead as Bianca groaned, her body convulsing. I'll go with her to the hospital. I told the medic. She's my sister-in-law. One of them nodded, gesturing for me to follow. Nathan grabbed my hand. You don't understand. It's not what you think. I pulled my hand away, my voice icy. Really? Then how did you know it wasn't Bianca's cup? Before she said anything, I turned and walked away. My heart heavy but no longer afraid. Morning light poured through the windows, carrying the truth with it, and this time they wouldn't get away. When I entered, she frowned and tried to sit up but didn't have the strength. I thought you wouldn't come, she whispered. Not come after you nearly killed me for the 4th time in 6 months? I figured the least I could do was look you in the eye. One last time, I replied coldly. Delilah Quinn pressed her lips together, her breathing faint. It wasn't to kill, just to make you rest for a while. Rest, I stepped closer, lowering my voice. You mean so I'd conveniently disappear long enough for you to pitch the Brightwell Group proposal in my place? Delilah shut her eyes as if bracing herself against both the pain and the truth laid bare. Noah said, if you didn't attend the meeting, the board would give the project to him and me. I sat down on the chair beside her hospital bed, my eyes unblinking. Was that why I ended up in the hospital? I asked, though, in my heart I already knew. I made the tea when you had that allergic reaction, just enough to make you dizzy. The birthday muffin, that was Noah's. He called it enhancing the flavor. I looked her dead in the eye, my voice tight. Why I never competed with anyone. I worked hard, showed up early, stayed late. I even let you take the lead on the Trinity project last year. Delilah sighed, eyes still closed, because you made everything look so easy. Clients liked you. You had the ideas they wanted. And me. I'd been there over 10 years and no one noticed. Then you showed up and suddenly all the light pointed your way. I said nothing. There was no justification that could excuse what they had done. Under the warm yellow light of the hospital room, all I saw was a person hollowed out by envy. And Noah, I asked, he's my husband, the man who promised to protect me. Delilah squinted, her lips twitching into a crooked smile. Noah never liked being in anyone's shadow. When you started out performing him, everything changed. The Bayline contract, the Seafront project, they all went to you. The door burst open. A female officer entered, followed by a nurse, Delilah Quinn. The officer said, we need your cooperation in an investigation regarding intentional harm to another individual. Delilah gave a weak nod. She didn't resist. As they prepared to escort her out, she turned to look at me. Riley, don't trust anyone. Not even the one sleeping next to you. Every night I stood still, my heart heavy. That warning haunted me more than her confession. I left the hospital that afternoon under a light drizzle. Raindrops pattered on the car roof as I sat in the parking lot gripping the steering wheel. Her final words echoed in my head. Don't trust anyone, not even the one beside you. I knew this battle was far from over. Before I left, I had sent the recording from the brunch to my private attorney, Spencer Whitmore, a trusted collaborator on multiple intellectual property cases. He was not only brilliant, but impeccably discreet. Less than 10 minutes later, he called back, voice calm and firm. Riley, this is the first piece of evidence we need, but I need more. Something that proves this wasn't an isolated incident? I looked at my phone, then reached for the backup phone hidden in my desk drawer. Inside, it was a folder I'd been compiling in secret for the past 4 months, recording screenshots, detailed notes of every suspicion, time symptoms, who prepared the food or drink, what happened after. The first time I truly grew suspicious was in February after I collapsed in a conference room just hours before presenting the strategic plan to the Corella Group board Noah had taken over. Simply reading my prepared material, yet the report listed him as the lead presenter. That night, I discovered an unmarked white powder packet in the lunchbox he'd packed for me. I said nothing. I just began recording everything I named the folder. Onyx inside were 17 audio files, 24 screenshots of messages between Noah and Delilah, and a log as detailed as an intelligence report. I sent everything to Spencer with a single line: "I'm ready to expose the truth." Less than 30 minutes later, he called again. "Riley, this isn't just workplace or family conflict. This is a coordinated, extended conspiracy to cause you harm, with clear evidence of collusion and intent. I'll bring it to the investigator, but you must absolutely not confront Noah right now." I nodded silently and drove home. Our house on Holloway Street sat beneath rows of crimson maples. I didn't go in right away. I replayed the recording from 3 weeks ago. Noah's phone call to Delilah made from the living room when he thought I was asleep. "Not strong enough," Noah's voice said. "Last time she was just dizzy and still showed up like nothing happened." "It doesn't take much," Delilah replied coldly. "As long as she misses the argon and co-product launch we're in." They want stability, not someone who's always in the hospital. I stopped the recording, my chest tightening. When I walked through the door, Noah was sitting on the couch holding a glass of wine like nothing had happened. "Hey, you're back." "How's Delilah?" I didn't answer. I went straight to the study and locked the door. I needed a safe space to prepare. On the computer, I opened the latest contract with Larson and Hale, worth over $8 million. My name was listed as the primary representative, and I knew Noah had tried and failed to take over the pitch. Rage and betrayal churned inside me, but I didn't let them take control. I turned on the webcam and began recording. My face was steady, my eyes unwavering, my voice firm. "I am Riley Morgan. I have been repeatedly poisoned over the past 6 months by my husband Noah Morgan and my sister-in-law Delilah Quinn. Their goal was to sabotage my professional performance, cause me to miss critical meetings, and seize business opportunities. Meant for me, I saved the file under the name Final Statement YRM4. When I exited the room, Noah looked at me cautiously. "You okay?" I smiled. "I'm fine, but I think we should speak to a lawyer." His face twitched. I saw him calculating his next move. But this time I was ahead, and I wasn't stopping until the truth came out. The next morning, I returned to St. Adriana Hospital with all the documents Spencer requested: audio recordings, detailed logs, and the video from the night before. The police had been notified and arrived on time. Officer Jenna Rhodes, 2 colleagues, and the attending physician met me in the administrative office. "We were briefed," Jenna said with confidence. "We'll need to review everything, and if possible, confirm your recent medical admissions. I've prepared it all." I replied, handing her a USB. "And this is a signed statement from Dr. Langston, who treated me in June." They plugged in the device and listened with headphones. As the brunch recording played, I watched Jenna's expression shift from skeptical to stunned, then to ice cold. "Not her cup." She repeated Noah's line. "That's the turning point," I nodded. "There's more." In other recordings, they discussed dosages, symptoms, and the perfect timing for my absence. Jenna glanced at the doctor. "We need Delilah's blood test results as soon as possible, and if we can compare them to Riley's records." The doctor nodded. "We're working on it. But there's one key finding. Delilah's preliminary results show traces of a compound typically used in behavioral neuroscience research, not approved for use outside laboratory settings." Jenna turned to me. "Do you have any idea where that substance came from?" "I'm not sure," I answered, "but Noah used to be a research assistant at Milton University during grad school. One of his old friends now works at a pharmaceutical company called Valentis." Biotech, they specialize in neurochemical compounds. That company specialized in experimental compounds used in neurological research. Jenna took notes and contacted the investigative team to initiate a search of Noah's workplace Penwick and Howe, where he served as legal counsel for commercial contracts. Less than an hour later, a report came in. They had found 4 unmarked vials in the drawer of Noah's desk, along with scraps of handwritten notes describing observed symptoms, onset times, and associated project names. One note read Riley. Larkson deal needs to be delayed at least 3 days. My heart sank as I read that line. At this point, the truth was undeniable. This wasn't just petty sabotage in the workplace. It was a systematic operation executed with chilling precision. We'll expand the investigation to Valentis Biotech. Jenna said if the compounds can be traced back there, more people will be implicated. But for now, Noah Morgan will be summoned. As we discussed the next steps, a hospital staff member came in to inform me that Delilah had regained consciousness and wanted to speak with me privately. I followed them to the hospital room. Delilah looked completely different from the day before, her face less tense, her eyes stripped of any smugness. What remained was exhaustion and perhaps a touch of relief. "I didn't think you'd come," she rasped. "I came to hear your final confession," I said, standing at a distance from the bed. "There's nothing more to say, I've said enough," Delilah whispered. "But I want you to know, I never thought it would go this far. Noah, he was the one who pushed me over the edge. I just wanted my career back. I never meant to destroy you." I stayed silent. That wasn't an apology. It wasn't remorse. It was the pitiful sorrow of someone who knew she'd lost. "I'll tell the police everything." Delilah continued. "I have a copy of an email Noah sent to someone named Zachary West at Valentis. He requested a compound that could slow cognitive function without leaving a trace. It's all on my laptop." I left the room without replying. I didn't need a confession, needed justice, and at last justice had begun to turn its wheels. The trial took place on a chilly autumn morning at the Mapleton County Courthouse, the maple leaves outside just beginning to turn. Inside, the atmosphere was so tense that even a single cough seemed to still the entire room. Noah Morgan and Delilah Quinn sat at the defense table, faces cold and blank, a far cry from the confident smiles they once wore at lavish family parties. I sat in the front row on the plaintiff's side beside attorney Spencer Whitmore. Behind me were my mother, a few close colleagues, and representatives from Larkson and Hale, the client they had nearly stolen. The prosecutor began with a decisive statement. "This is not just a case of marital betrayal. This is a calculated campaign to destroy a woman's health, reputation, and career simply because she was too successful." One by one, the pieces of evidence were presented. The recording from the brunch text exchanges between Noah and Delilah, discussing dosages and timing, and a handwritten note from Noah that read, "Increase dose, if needed. Ensure she's absent on the 17th. The courtroom went silent as the video I had recorded at home played, me staring into the lens, recounting the pain, the hospital visits, and the brutal truth that the man I trusted most was the one handing me my drinks every morning. I didn't look at Noah when the video ended. I no longer expected emotion from him. On day 2, Dr. Harold Broner was called as an expert witness. He presented the blood test results from my 3 hospitalizations, all showing traces of the same rare compound with increasing concentrations over time. This was no accidental poisoning, he testified. Someone was monitoring the patient's reactions and adjusting the dosage. This shows control and intent. On day 3, a representative from Valentis Biotech, the company Noah had ties, to confirm that an employee named Zachary West had been suspended and that the suspicious compounds were connected to emails from Noah Morgan. "We are shocked and deeply regretful," the representative said. "These compounds were never authorized to leave the lab environment." When the defense rose, they attempted to shift the narrative, claiming Delilah had been manipulated and Noah merely wanted to help his wife rest from being overworked. The courtroom erupted when the prosecutor responded, "Help her rest by putting experimental chemicals in her food, by emailing a friend to request a dosage strong enough to disable her for 3 days. Your Honor, this is not concern. This is criminal conspiracy." On the final day, Delilah requested to speak. She wore a pale blue blouse, hands trembling as she stood. I don't deny anything she said, but I didn't think it would go this far. I admit I was jealous. I admit I stayed silent when Noah crossed the line. But I never wanted this to happen. Noah remained silent through the entire trial, only speaking when the verdict was read. The jury returned. No one in the courtroom moved. The judge rose, voice steady and stern. The jury finds Noah Morgan and Delilah Quinn guilty on all counts: conspiracy to cause grievous bodily harm, unlawful use of controlled substances for personal gain, and reckless endangerment. I held my breath as the sentence was delivered. The court sentences Noah Morgan to 18 years in prison and Delilah Quinn to 12 years. No possibility of parole. Noah didn't lift his head. Delilah broke down crying for the first time since the trial began. I didn't feel joy and relief like waking from a nightmare that had lasted far too long. As they were led away, I whispered, "It's not because I'm stronger than you. It's because I never poisoned anyone to get what I wanted." 1 year later, I stood on the main stage at the Fairwind Summit Business Conference in Mapleton. Soft lights lit the packed hall. Hundreds of executive strategists and familiar faces from the marketing world watched me intently. I smiled, adjusting the mic. "My name is Riley Morgan," I began, voice clear and confident. "And today I want to talk about turning adversity into drive and how to stay grounded in your identity through storms of envy, betrayal, and pain." 1 year ago, I walked out of that courtroom not with victory, but with a shattered heart. Yet I had held on to the one thing that mattered most: the truth, and that changed both my career and my life. After the trial, I left my old company. Though they had supported me through the litigation, the lingering glances and hushed whispers never faded. I accepted an offer from Larson and Hale, the very firm Noah and Delilah had tried to deceive. They appointed me Director of Strategic Initiatives for the Southeast region, granting full control over major projects. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't go public in the media. I didn't tell my story in interviews. I just kept working, steadily and honestly, and let the results speak. 9 months ago, I signed an exclusive deal with Celestial Skin, a luxury skincare brand worth over $12 million. 3 months after that, my team won the Breakthrough Strategy Award at the National Conference in Atlanta. And recently, I was elected to the Board of Directors of the American Marketing Association. I took a deep breath and continued my speech. People often say success is the sweetest revenge. I don't agree. Revenge is rooted in resentment. But success, when built with integrity and perseverance, is what truly frees us from the need for retaliation. Applause erupted from the audience. As I looked down, I caught the gaze of a young woman in the front row, eyes wide, sparkling. She looked just like I did when I first stepped into this world. After the speech, I walked slowly down the long hallway that led behind the stage. A young woman approached me holding a notebook and a pen. "Excuse me, Ms. Riley," she said softly. "I'm Sophie. I work at a medtech startup. I just wanted to say, your talk gave me so much courage." I smiled and gently placed a hand on her arm. "Courage isn't the absence of fear," I replied. "It's moving forward even when you're still afraid, and you already have that look in your eyes, the look of someone brave enough to take the next step." That evening, I returned to my new apartment in downtown Mapleton, a space I had redesigned myself after selling the old house. In my inbox was an email from the legal department of Larson and Hale with a simple subject line: "The contract with Liskin has been extended for another 3 years." I sat on the balcony, eyes following the curves of the Eldon River glittering under the city's colorful lights. In my hand was a cup of chamomile tea, not coffee and certainly not something brewed by someone else. I no longer feared my own drink. I no longer doubted the people around me. I had reclaimed my life. At the end of the email was a line from the CEO of Larson and Hale. "Thank you for not giving up to us. You're not just an exceptional representative. You are the embodiment of resilience." I don't know which federal facility Delilah and Noah are in. Now, Spencer, my attorney, had sent me the official sentencing summary, but I've never opened it. I don't need to know, and I don't want to, because I've chosen to move forward without looking back, without bitterness, without carrying the weight of hatred. I chose freedom and success, and that is proof that I never let the darkness win. Riley's story is living proof that truth and perseverance can overcome even the darkest of conspiracies. Though betrayed by those closest to her, she did not fall. She stood up, gathered evidence, and pursued justice. And instead of seeking revenge, she chose success. Success built from her own strength and integrity. In a world full of deception, she reminds us that character and willpower are the most powerful weapons we have to move forward. What do you think about Riley's choice? Was success truly the most fitting answer to betrayal? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to follow the channel for more surprising and heartfelt stories about family life is full of falls. But it's how we rise that people remember Riley. Morgan chose to rise through the storm not with vengeance but with truth, resilience, and dignity. Her story isn't just about betrayal and justice. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest victory is holding on to who you are when everything around you is falling apart. If this story made you reflect, inspired you, or simply touched a part of your heart, please hit like, share to spread this powerful message, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more heartfelt and surprising stories to come. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this journey. We'll see you again in the next story.